All right, this video is intended for green architecture class, and this will be instructions for how to begin and complete activity 1.4, which is called measuring your living room. So I'm going to read through a portion of this, show you some examples so you have a pretty good idea of what we're doing here. So depending on the reason, now this is the introduction, depending on the reason that you are measuring a room, there is a there are different measurements that need to be taken. For example, if you're putting in a floor, you need to know the area of the floor. If you are painting, you need to know the area of the walls and the ceiling that need paint. And if you're putting up a wallpaper border, you need to know the perimeter measurement of the room. Accurate measurement and measuring is necessary to ensure that you buy enough, but not too much, of the materials that you will need to complete the project. Overbuying construction materials often leads to discarding materials in a landfill. And we all know, if you've ever been to the landfill, there is lots of stuff out there. And the more we take out there, the more we have to pile it up or bury it, and creates issues for the environment and the next generation. So we don't want to take anything more to the landfill than we absolutely have to. So in this activity, you will work to accurately measure the perimeter of your living room, or another room if you don't have a living room in your home. All right, so you'll be using your engineering notebook, a pencil, and then a measuring tool. You can use a tape measure, a yardstick, a ruler, whatever you can find to measure with. Of course, you can use your paper architectural scale if you'd like. There is a regular ruler on there. I think easier maybe things like a tape measure if you can locate one around home, or a yardstick. That definitely makes life easier. And then we'll be doing a little bit of math with area and perimeter calculations, and I would allow and encourage you to use your calculator. So here is our procedure. You will need to measure the living room in your home. Create a rough sketch with all of your notes and measurements on it. And then next you'll create a final sketch of your living room and label the dimensions in your engineering notebook. All right. So if you got that clear, you're making two sketches, okay? You make one, you're going to miss some of the points, okay? Oftentimes when I do things, and I do things a lot, I'll make a rough sketch first, and then I'll make a final finished sketch which more clearly and easily communicates my ideas. So that's kind of the purpose. One's a working drawing to get your notes down. The other one is one you can easily communicate that with someone else. Make sure that you document your measurements correctly using architectural notation. Remember our example here. Feet hyphen inches. That's architectural notation. A few of you missed that on some of the earlier activities, so make sure we emphasize architectural notation. It is feet hyphen inches. In fact, I will even highlight that so it gets our attention. Okay? Fly here. All right, so in your engineer notebook, first step, sketch the general shape of and size of your living room. And this is going to be your rough sketch. Sketch in something called a compass rose, and I'll show you what those things. Oh, I've got one right here. That's a compass rose, kind of the directional star, if you will. Sketch that on so we know which way is north, south, east, west. So I want you to start considering your surroundings. Use a tape measure, a yardstick, or a ruler to measure the length of each living room wall and record the dimension on your sketch, and then you'll mark locations on the sketch for things like doors and windows. We're not going to get any more detailed than just doors and windows for now. Measure and record the width of all doors and windows on your sketch, and then measure from the edge of the doors and windows to the closest wall corner. Record this dimension in your sketch. I will show you an example of what a rough sketch might look like. All right, here might be a rough sketch. Notice things are kind of, they're not real super neat. I've got my compass rose in so I know which direction. I didn't follow the grid line really well. You'll see some of these up. I got a little crooked there. That's okay. It's a rough sketch, just getting some basic information down, okay? If you're going to do things like windows, here's like a big window. This is actually a sketch I made of our classroom. The dimensions I don't think are correct, but it's a rough sketch of our classroom. When you have a window like we have here, I put a little line and a little line. That's the beginning and the end of that window, and then we put the dimension of the window in there as well. When we have things like doors, I'll zoom in a little bit here. Doors are shown with a little symbol like this, usually a diagonal line with an arc. Think about a door. It hinges right there, and then this is like what we call the swing of the door. So there's the hinge point, there's the door itself, and this is kind of the swing. The door opens outwards in this case. All of these doors, I guess, open out from the room. So that's our door example. And the next thing you want to do then is make sure you locate where your doors are at. So if I think of this one, I've got a 1 foot space between the corner and the edge of the door. I've got a 3-foot door. I've got 6 feet of wall, followed by a 3-foot door. I've got 8 feet of wall, 6 feet of door, and then 5 feet of wall again. So what we like to do when we do things like this is get the overall dimension, which in this case is 32 from this corner to this corner, and then our separate dimensions for the pieces of wall, the door, the wall, the door, wall, doors, and wall. All right, that is our rough sketch. Our 7th step in the process. Now, using your rough sketch as a guide, create a final sketch of your living room. This sketch should be neat and have straight lines and include all of your dimensions in architectural notation. Neatness counts on this one. Okay, neatness really counts. Now, to show the difference in this, here is an example of a final sketch. I used the straight edge on this. All my perimeter of my room, those walls, I used the edge of a ruler. If you don't have that, use an edge of a piece of paper, a notebook, something like that. We want that shape to be nice and neat, square, straight lines. You're using your engineering notebook, which has grid lines in it already, so follow the grid lines, but use a straight edge so it's nice and neat. I've put my compass rose in the center. Here's my window again. Notice now I've put some things in. I put these little things we call arrowheads. At the end of a line, we're putting an arrowhead. Basically, it says we've got a dimension that goes from this line. I'm just extending a line from this wall out into the outer space. It goes from this point to this space. Again, I used arrowheads. And then write in your dimensions. In this case, my dimension was 35 feet 0 inches. I had a window in here. That window is 18 feet 2 inches long, but it starts 6 feet from the corner. So notice here's my corner. So 6 feet 0 inches from the corner, and I've got arrowheads to point that out. The other end, a little line with arrowheads, and then from that edge of the window to the other wall is 10 feet. You'll do the same thing all the way around. So nice, neat, clearly easy to read in dimensions. Put a title at the top of each page. And this one I wrote down as Activity 1.4, Living Room Sketch, and I put Final Sketch in parentheses. Okay, that gives you an idea how that part of the activity works. Now we're going to jump back to the rest of the activity. Then your conclusion section says, using your final sketch as a reference, record the total length of each wall in architectural notation in the left column. Here's the left column. So that north wall, we would find the length of our north wall. If I jump back to my final sketch, my north wall, notice here's north, my north wall is 24 feet 6 inches. So I would put in here 24 feet 6 inches. And then I would convert that. So that might look like this. 24 feet 6 inches, jump over to my decimal feet. Remember how we convert that? We take the inches portion, divide by 12. So in this case, 24.5 feet is my answer for that one. You do that with each of your 4 walls, okay? And then this next section, 2 through 6, these questions do not pertain to your room. This is another scenario altogether. Read carefully. It's going to ask you some questions. It's going to have you do some calculations. Now, we learned about that in the PowerPoint, about area and about perimeter. Now we're going to apply that to this little activity. Then, finally, I want to see your sketches. So, what are you going to do? take a picture of them. Take a picture of your sketch. Your rough sketch goes here. Make sure it takes up the entire page. You can kind of see the page breaks. If it's too small, it's really hard to read. So put it in there and then expand the size. Make sure it's big enough so we can easily see that. And then we'll take our final sketch and put down here. Please do me a favor, crop out the excess stuff. Okay, so if you've got a picture, I don't want to see all of the extra stuff in your picture. Okay, so if you have a picture and if you right click on your picture, you'll see a little icon for cropping. I don't know if I've got a picture I can show you or not. If I want to insert a picture into that document, I can go insert, and I want to find an image. I'll upload from my computer. I'll see if I can find one real quick here. I'll just pick on one here. Let's say I'll use this one. I'm in my rough sketch, so let's go to my rough sketch. Okay, put my sketch in there. If I want to crop that, click on the image to select it. If I right click, this little image right here says crop image, crop. Now, grab the black handlebar, drag that in. I don't want to see the other part of the other page. The bottom, if I wanted to crop some of that stuff out of there, I can do that. At the top, that looks good. And just hit enter on your keyboard. I've cropped out all the extra stuff. Okay, that's how you go ahead and put it, insert a picture, and then crop it. So I see just the important part. I want to see your sketch followed by all of your dimensions. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. All right, so that should give you an idea how to do this. You're going to have a couple days to work on this. So a day to measure, a day to sketch. Some of this we'll be doing around the classroom because we are going to be in a little bit of a hybrid mode this week. So if you're the gold group and watching this, please come to class prepared on Thursday with your rough sketch. Then we can work on that in class on Friday. I'm sorry. Yeah, come to class prepared with your sketch so we can finish it up Thursday in class. The blue group, they'll be working on this starting in class and finishing it on their own. So that gives you an overview for activity 1.4, measuring your living room. Thanks. See you soon, guys.